Welcome back. You're still watching Network Africa on Channels Television. Now, despite the Mediterranean crisis, the Italian Navy has confirmed that it rescued units of migrants on Monday, August the 10th, in the Sicily Channel. The Italian Navy ship Mimbelli rescued 775 migrants with nearly 200 women and 14 minors. In 7 separate operations, around 1,550 migrants were rescued off the Libyan coasts. The International Organization for Migration estimates that more than 2,000 migrants and refugees have died so far in the first half of this year trying to reach Europe by boat. And that's compared with the 3,279 people who actually died during the whole of last year while trying to cross from Africa to Europe. Most of these people in question are fleeing crisis in their countries and seeking greener pastures by making the often deadly trip. Now, just before the break, we brought you updates concerning what's happening in Ghana regarding the investigations into the June the 3rd inferno in which 154 people were killed. We told you that one more body had been discovered today, and also brought you updates concerning the strike action taken by Ghana medical doctors. We go live to Accra, where Joy TV's Elton Brobby is standing by. Elton, thank you for staying on the line.
Hi, I'm here. Thank you. Welcome.
Yes. Now, you were saying just before the break, giving us the progress report on what's happened with the investigations.
Yes, I was saying that the committee that was tasked by government to investigate the cause of the fire made recommendation. In their recommendation, they cited this gentleman whom, according to the committee, started a fire after smoking a cigarette. Now, the committee fell short of prescribing punishment for this particular person. Actually left prosecution of this person in the hands of government to decide as to what to do with him. The information we have picked is that the Bureau of National Investigation is holding this man and is assisting with the investigation. It's not clear for now whether he's going to be charged for arson or he's going to be allowed to walk. Neighbors in the area have confirmed that he was the only person who was smoking about 500 meters away from where the incident actually happened. And indeed, they told us yesterday that as soon as the guy let go of the cigarette start, it caught fire, and then the next thing they heard was an explosion, and that led to the death of 154 people, and they'll come at about 1.6 million Ghana cedi worth of property destroyed in that particular blaze. But yesterday, some locals in that particular area that is being designated as a disaster site went into one of the burnt houses, and they discovered a body. So they called in the National Disaster Management. They came in and retrieved this particular body. So that will add up to the 154 that officially we've been told. So the number is now 155. Now, what NADMO is saying is that they are using this as basis to do further search to see whether they can recover more bodies in some of the buildings that were affected by this particular fire. So that is the latest on this particular fire issue that happened on the June 3rd.
Well, Elton, thank you so much for the update you just gave us.
But I can also tell you about the Ghana Medical Association. This is new, just coming in, and it
okay.
may be new to you. The Ghana Medical Association just concluded a meeting in the Eastern Regional Capital, Koforidua. What we have picked is that they are likely to call off the strike later this evening. They are holding a news conference at 6 p.m. They met all the organs of the Ghana Medical Association, and everybody presented their statement. There are those who think that the strike should be called off. Now, the president of the association spoke to him about 15 minutes ago. It's news we are carrying forward in the next bulletin. And what he's telling me is that at 6 p.m., they're going to address a news conference. Key would be whether to call the strike. By information I've picked that they are likely to call the strike, give government 2 more months to fix their conditions of service, or they will resign en bloc.
Well, that's indeed good news, which can actually douse what we just heard you tell us about the one more body that was found. Thank you very much for your updates, Elton. We appreciate your time as always. Thank you. I've been speaking to Joy TV's Elton Brobby reporting from Accra. Well, we're looking at what the National Emergency Management Agency is trying to do right here in Nigeria. It's alerted the state governments and communities along River Benue of possible flood following information from Cameroonian authorities to release excess water from Lagdo Dam. Director General Muhammad Sani Sidi said the Cameroonian authorities in Garua has indicated that between now and November 2015, there would be routine release of water from the Lagdo Dam due to excessive amounts of water presently contained in the dam. Well, for more on that report, we go live to join Mr. Ibrahim Farinloye, who is a public relations officer for NEMA. He's standing by right now to speak with us. Mr. Farinloye, thank you very much for joining us again on Network Africa. Thank you. Now, what states are affected? It seems we're having a rather some bad luck connecting today, but we will reach Mr. Farinloye in a moment. But for now, let's bring you some of the tips which you might need to observe in the event that you're caught up in one of the states which are affected in this situation. Well, when you're looking at a situation, which is what we have now in the context of before a flood, you need to be alert and also assemble disaster supplies and be very prepared to quickly evacuate once you hear that you might be affected. Now, in the event that you get caught up in a flood, you also need to be alert. Never drive through flooded roadways and never ever try to walk or swim through flowing water. Now, after having dealt with a flood, what you need to do is wait. It's very important that you wait until it is safe to return to your home in the event that it has not been washed away. Then you also need to travel with care. You need to get professional help in terms of medical care, and you also need to protect your property from future flood damage in the event that it happens again. Well, we're joined again on the program by Mr. Ibrahim Farinloye, the Public Relations Officer for NEMA. Mr. Farinloye, thank you very much. You were saying what states have been affected?
Yes, we have Benue, we have Adamawa, and will be down to measurement and where it's true to the social.
Well, is this going to be a one-off release or a gradual release of the water from the Lagdo Dam?
Yes, according to my doctor, it's going to be a gradual and systematic so that you will have one
Well, that was Mr. Ibrahim Farinloye. We move on to other stories now. Zimbabwe has lifted a ban on big game hunting outside a national park 10 days after imposing the moratorium following the illegal killing of the country's most prized lion. Authorities in Zimbabwe imposed an indefinite ban on August the 1st on hunting in areas surrounding Hwange National Park and international outrage after a rare black maned lion called Cecil was lured from the park and killed by an American hunter with a bow and arrow. Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Management Authority also say the ban had been lifted in all areas except the farmland where Cecil had been killed and several other areas where animals were illegally hunted. Still looking at what's happening with steps taken against illicit poaching. Who says a little doesn't go a long way? Well, tell that to a U.S. company that's looking to bioengineer the horns of rhinos in an effort to flood a lucrative black market and save the endangered species from extinction.
Matthew Marcus of biotech company Pembient is holding up a rhinoceros horn worth thousands of dollars on the black market because a poacher had to risk his life to kill an endangered species to obtain it. At least that is what markers would have you believe. The truth is, this horn wasn't cut off a rhino in the African savannah. It was bioengineered in a lab in San Francisco. Marcus and his partner, George Bonacci, obtained a real rhino horn and are using the latest techniques in biotechnology to replicate it so perfectly that it passes as the real thing.
There's going to be some differences still. I mean, we're not bioidentical yet, though that's the goal. But one of the interim goals is to make it more costly to test the object than the object's worth. And I think we're pretty much getting to that territory now.
If they perfect the science, the idea is to sell the lab-grown horns. Marcus sees current-day poachers as his best customers.
We can't really control what happens to our horn once it leaves our distribution points, so there's a potential people will take our horn and relabel it as wild horn. There are rangers, there are patrols, there's sometimes shoot-to-kill policies in place and things like that. So we want to make it such that people may not want to basically go out there and do this particular work anymore because it won't have this very lucrative payday for them.
The big winners here are rhinos. Now that the technology to replicate their horns exists, the hope is that the incentive to hunt and kill them ends.
Well, tomorrow we'll be looking at yet another man who seems to have been bitten by the third-term bug. I'm referring to none other than President Denis Sassou Nguesso of the Republic of Congo, who has gone as far as replacing 2 ministers that are against constitutional changes that could pave the way for him to seek a third term in office. That's all we've got in store for you tomorrow. But for now, here are the top reactions we got on Twitter when we asked you about what you thought of the Nigerian government negotiating with Boko Haram. The first top tweet is coming from Edem Ifiwat, and he says, "You talk about military option when you don't even have a target." And he also says that you just can't start bombing everywhere, basically saying that a target needs to be established first. The second one is coming from Tosin Mojola. He says, "I do not support the federal government's negotiation with Boko Haram. The federal government should stamp them out with all the military might available and obtainable." The next is coming from Gidi Dao Auta, and he says, "Negotiating with Boko Haram is not the way out, but efficient operations by the Nigerian army is the way to go." That's his opinion. And our last top tweet of the day is coming from Sukuni Fwangs, and he says the best approach to solving the Boko Haram insurgency is dialogue. And he says, "How do I know?" And that's based on what he saw in Isaiah 1 verses 18 to 20. I guess we'll have to check that out. We'd like to say a big thank you for your feedback, and please keep them coming. Based on that, here is our question of the day. How can the Mediterranean crisis be averted? Well, feel free to reach out to us either by email or Twitter. The address and handle are right there on your screen. As always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for watching Network Africa right here on Channels Television. I'm Cynthia Are.